This is our digital story to illustrate the effect that a low socioeconomic status can have on a child's education and opportunity to succeed. Bronfenbrenner's model of human development aims to show how an individual's experiences are influenced by everything they come into contact with, and how these experiences and their consequences change over time. This diagram graphically shows the different levels of Bronfenbrenner's model, from the individual through the microsystem, mesosystem, exosystem, macrosystem, and the time component of the chronosystem. These layers interact and relate to each other as the individual develops, and any outcomes depend on these and the individual's reactions to each element over time. Looking at Susie's situation, it can be seen that she has many elements in her microsystem, and some may be having a negative impact on her development. Susie may not experience the kind of nurturing care that would enhance her development at home, but she may have a more positive influence in the care she receives from kinder and from her grandmother. Certainly the culture that Susie has grown up surrounded by in her macrosystem may not support or value the acquisition of a good education, but the interactions and links can ensure that she is exposed to some positive influences in guiding her development and subsequent education. Of course, these influences change over time, and Susie is about to experience the addition of a very important component in her microsystem, that of her school. Let's see how Susie's early life experiences shape her first foray into formal education. Susie is 5 years old. She lives with her mum, her teenage sister, and her nephew in a housing commission apartment in the inner city. Her mother has been through a series of relationships, some of them abusive, since splitting from Susie's father. Susie attended kindergarten periodically when she was 4, but often missed weeks when her mum was beginning a new relationship. The most stable person in Susie's life is her maternal grandmother, who she unfortunately does not see often since a family argument. This lack of cohesion in Susie's early education could mean that she is unprepared and lacking in the social and developmental skills that will enable a smooth transition to primary school. UNICEF states that a child's early education can be a great equalizer, even for the most disadvantaged. As Susie starts school, she is unfamiliar with the routines of the classroom, having missed out on so much kinder. The school gives her a buddy from grade 6 to assist in this, but having started with little literacy and numeracy knowledge, she falls behind and feels self-conscious. According to Hayes, Johnson and King, due to her background, Susie is facing inequity in the classroom. To try and address this balance, schools need to acknowledge that she needs further assistance and provide scaffolding to empower Susie with a positive outlook. Fuller suggests that creating a sense of belonging and community for Susie can offer increased resilience in dealing with change and problems. This, in addition to extra tuition and a positive attitude from her teacher, can ensure Susie believes she can succeed. Barry and King believe that this creating of a self-fulfilling prophecy is essential in increasing motivation, engagement, and success. Susie's grade 1 teacher has continued with the strategy started in prep. NATO believes that creating an equitable classroom for all means fostering an environment of social justice, and Smith agrees that this is where students are not only given the opportunity to achieve, they are also treated fairly and equally, and not discriminated based on any criteria. In order to help Susie continue her improvements, it is important to make a link between her home life and her schooling. The school has taken the initiative and organised a series of parental nights to help those who struggle to assist their children, for whatever reason. Espinosa reasons that this forms a caring and connected community which enhances students' positive feelings towards education. Susie's relationship with her grandmother has been reconnected, and this is proving a positive influence on her behaviour and self-esteem. In Year 2, Susie is more settled due to the positive influence of her grandmother in her microsystem relating to Bronfenbrenner's model. However, as Susie moves into middle school, she attracts the attention of some older girls due to her often scruffy appearance. They bully her because of her home situation and her clothing. Once the school is made aware of this, they take steps to ensure that Susie and her family is aware of the funding and grants that are available to assist in the purchase of school necessities. This provision of essential items to low socio-economic status families is another step towards providing an equitable education and affording a school and education system in Australia which maintains social justice for all students as decreed in the Melbourne Declaration of 2008. Moving into grade 3, the strategies and modifications that the school has implemented in the classroom and within the curriculum to allow Susie access to equity in her education are helping, but still, her teachers feel she is not reaching her full potential. Susie often does not do her homework or reading, and this affects her learning. Also, her behaviour is sometimes erratic. Susie is a visual learner, as described by Gardner's multiple intelligences, and by modifying the curriculum to more suit a learner like Susie, teachers can open up content in many subjects to more appeal to individual learning styles. Mars suggests that as Susie grows in confidence, her teacher can set clear standards and expectations of both her behaviour and her work, so her performance and conduct in class improve. Tailoring conduct to suit multiple learning styles shows a desire to want students to succeed, and provides greater equity within the classroom as stipulated by Egan and Gurdjieff.
As highlighted by Espinosa, Susie's disengagement and behavioral problems at school can be seen as being caused by particular aspects of her home environment that are closely related to poverty. Such factors include Susie's mother shouting, yelling, and facing individual depression, all of which impair Susie's mother's ability to provide her with a warm, supportive atmosphere. To prevent these factors causing low academic achievement, behavioral problems, and socio-emotional difficulties, Susie's teacher began to help Susie develop resilience. As stated by Espinosa, this involved providing a caring and supportive atmosphere at school, setting positive expectations for Susie, and providing opportunities for meaningful participation. During Year 5, Susie's grandmother passed away. As a result, Susie became very depressed and disengaged at school. To help Susie overcome the adversity she was facing, the school arranged for Susie to see a grief counsellor several times a week. Susie's teacher took a personal interest in helping Susie to cope with and overcome the death of her grandmother. Susie developed a strong bond with this teacher, who soon became a positive role model in Susie's life. As highlighted by Bowes, Grace, and Hayes, factors that had evidently helped a group of at-risk children overcome adversity included having at least one positive attachment to an adult and receiving support from outside the family unit, from teachers, classmates, etc. The relationship between Susie and her teacher, in conjunction with grief counselling, helped her to overcome the death of her grandmother. Her attitudes towards education improved, and she became more confident in herself. As Espinosa highlights, having a responsive adult care about and help the child feel safe contributes largely to the development of personal coping skills. Pierce demonstrates that without this relationship, it is likely that Susie would have used maladaptive coping strategies to deal with her trauma, such as giving up, avoidance, affective displays such as tantrums, and as she grows older, drug and alcohol consumption. During Year 6, Susie began to experience puberty and her behaviour became inappropriate. Furthermore, Susie was not meeting the required literacy and numeracy standards for her year level. As recommended by the Australian Research Alliance for Children and Youth, the school adapted a number of teaching and curriculum-based programs that aimed to reduce the achievement gap for Susie and students in a similar position. This involved developing learning experiences such as those outlined by Egan and Korshak, activities that focused on real-world applications, personalising content by linking it to Susie's life, capitalising on her interests, giving her choices, and scaffolding hands-on experiences, all of which gave her intrinsic motivation needed to achieve positive educational outcomes. With no motivation to continue her education, Susie would end up dropping out of school. Susie will struggle to find a job. Without a job, it is likely that Susie would end up on the streets drinking dangerous amounts of alcohol.
This story illustrates the need to strive for equity and social justice within our education system. And education is the right of every child in Australia, regardless of background, and as teachers we must strive to change ourselves, our classrooms, and our curriculum to ensure that this happens.